how to paint a hand with a candle. So this one is pretty tough. I had a hard time, and I don't really paint hands that much, so it was pretty tough. So we're gonna start off here. Of course, we're doing no penciling, so immediately you want to find out where you want your fingers to be. So you see, I just made some really quick marks there on where my fingers are going to be. And from there, you can start off with the shadows of where each finger is. And then I want you guys, if you guys are going to do this, it's going to be pretty tough. I'm not going to lie. I'd say, this is probably more advanced if you want to do this type of painting here. But yeah, first you want to find out where your fingers are. Just make a quick mark. And then start immediately with the shadows, with the because this painting that I did here, it's got a lot of lighting, a lot of different lighting, a lot of different tones, a lot of different colors as well. We're gonna use a lot of orange for this, a lot of different shades of red, a lot of different shades of yellow. And for the darkest tones, I used a lot of browns, a lot of different browns. So you're going to have a lot of colors here you're going to need to mix in order to prepare to paint something like this. If you've never painted a hand before, I don't suggest doing this one. You could do just something regular. Don't paint something with a candle, because the candle, man, it reflects so many different colors. It's gonna be tough to mix all those colors. But I spent like a good 2 days painting this one. Like maybe maybe like 5-hour sessions or possibly more. But yeah, this was a lot of work, definitely. And I could have done a little bit more. But I just wanted to get it done and get it out there for you guys. And it's pretty small, it's not a large painting. It's in my little sketchbook. But the secret here is, it gets a little tricky because of the lighting, because we're using a lot of light colors as well because of the candle. The candle flame is reflecting off the hand and lightening it up, of course. So immediately you guys can see, like I painted in that one finger, and immediately I'm adding in some of that background. So that way I can push the lines in or out as I need to, just to make it look better. It's so tricky, guys. I got to repeat myself on that. This was a tough painting. But you gotta just believe in the process, as they say. But yeah, so you can see I'm adding the background here for the first finger, and that's very important, actually. So you guys are gonna need to do that as well. Usually, if you're working with lighter colors, and let's say you don't add the background, then you're gonna have a lot of trouble seeing what you're doing. Because especially if you're painting on like a white canvas, which I highly don't recommend doing, you should paint on something that's toned. I know there's like Andrew Kadima, for example, he paints on just a blank white canvas. I wouldn't recommend that for beginners. That's very tough, because it's just, you won't be able to see your colors, unfortunately. So painting on something a little darker just really helps you see what's going on, especially, like I said, if you're working with a lot of these lighter colors. So you can immediately see. So I'm adding that darker background. You can immediately see the finger just pop out, because of the lighter colors that are on it. So now that you can see it, now you can have an easier time building out the rest of your painting. Now here we're working on the next finger. So this is my method. I just went, from one finger to the next. So once I finish one, I'll jump onto the next one and just go from there. Just build out each one, and then you know, but still, like I'm still going to be jumping around just to not focus too much on one area. And you should do that with all your paintings. Just never focus on just one area. Just try to jump around. That way your eyes just don't get fatigued, and that way you can maintain focus. And again, we're adding more of that background just to be able to see the overall painting here. And as you can see, I'm leaving like a little gap there towards the middle, because that's where my candle is going to go. So I just, you want to leave a little gap there, just in case you want, if you're adding something in your own painting there. Because if you fill it in with the background color, then, you're going to have a mess when you're trying to add in your candle. So just be sure to leave that space blank. And so here in this part, we're kind of working on that fingernail. Man, fingernails probably one of the toughest things you're going to be painting, because fingernails just capture light kind of different. It can, like in this particular area, like it's capturing light like right at the corner of the fingernail, and then you have to like paint in the line of the fingernail, to make it look like it. So it can be very tricky, and I had to go over it several times just to make it look right. So it's very tough, very tough. But all you can do really is to just try to get it in, just paint it in there. It may not look right at the first time, but as you go along, you can come back and fix it. You can stand up and look at your painting from a distance to see if something's off. Especially with hands, like you're always gonna have something off because they're just tough, But yeah, you're just gonna have to keep working on it until it looks right. And adding these little light areas to the corners of the fingers is really important because there's light reflecting off of that as well. Think about like when you were, drawing a ball, for example, in a certain light, and you're gonna have like this lighting that's like right underneath the ball. There's like a little light there, right next to the shadow. So the same concept is being applied here as well for the fingers and how the lighting is affecting the lighting on the hands. Same thing with the very first finger that I drew there. You can see there's like a line of light that's almost coming at the back of the hand. So all of these things have to be taken into account, and they have to be painted in there. If you don't paint them in there, then unfortunately it's just going to look, everything's just going to look cartoony. It's just going to look like a cartoon drawing. So the more detail like this that you add, the more realistic it becomes. And like I said, like I could have gone even further than what I have here, but I felt that the detail that I added in was sufficient. But you can go wild. You can add a ton of detail and just make it look like hyper realism. But I didn't want to go that far for this demonstration. But this just goes to show you how important having these little details are. And now that we've added more of the background here, along with the four fingers, you can start to see it coming out now. And here we're starting on the thumb. Now the thumb was pretty tough because it's in like complete shadow. So when you have an object that's like that, you have to be very careful with your colors, because it's very tricky. And with this thumb, it's in like half of it is in complete shadow, and then there's a little light just at the edge of the thumb. And then there's a little detail like showing the skin wrinkling and on the thumb and whatnot. So it's very tricky. And also the thumbnail was very tough. I struggled with that. So I had to go over that several times, and you'll see that in the video. But I mean, that's all it is. You just have to keep fixing it, bumping the edges around, until it looks right. And that's really part of the painting process that you have to get used to. And finally, now we're adding in our candle. Now, the candle I had some fun working on that. The thing is with the candle is it's going to use similar colors. So I had to use those same oranges, and I had to like darken them up. The thing is, you have to make it lighter compared to the hand because the hand is hovering over it, so it's going to be in shadow, especially the inside of the hand. Now the candle itself is going to be much lighter, of course, because it's it's wax and it's kind of see-through almost. So it's just different, and you have to try to get that in there. As long as as well as the texture of the candle. You might have some parts of it that are smooth, some parts might be rough. There's also the lighting of the candle itself is gonna be different as well. So I kind of went with that glowing effect, which I think I did pretty well here. But to get that effect, it's all in your color mixture. So you have to be kind of precise in that. And towards the bottom of the candle, it gets darker, of course, because the light is on top. So the light isn't reaching the bottom of the candle. So down there it's a little darker. There was also like a bluish hue towards the very bottom of the candle, which I thought was interesting. So I put that in there as well. So I just went with some ultramarine blue and mixed it in there with the color that I was using originally, which was actually kind of tinting towards green, but I just added more blue, just to get that blue in there. And I think it turned out pretty well. So you can actually see me adding that in there right now. So I'm adding that in there, and then I'm blending out the edges with the rest of the candle just to make it all blend in together and look good. So, and you can see I'm also adding a little light, almost like a shine at the edge, the side of the candle there, just to give it that look of realism. It's just more detail that you need to add to get that realism across, and that's very important. Now you can kind of start to see it coming out even more now that we've added more of the background. See, the background is just so important because that's what really brings out the whole painting. All those light colors, the candle that will, the flame will add at the end, but none of that, you're not going to see any of that if you don't have that dark background. So that is extremely important. And I recommend you add that background in as you're adding in your lights as well. Because if you just add your lights with no background, you're going to be lost. You're not going to know what you're doing. And it's helpful. It's really helpful too, like in the way that I paint as well, because I'm not sketching beforehand. So it just helps me see what I'm doing, I know there's like other artists, they'll have like the penciling done. There's another like really famous one that I watch all the time. Her name is Sophia. She'll have the penciling in there, and then she'll just follow the guidelines basically. So that's helpful for her, but with me, I just I need to have that dark background in there, and that way I'll be able to see what I'm doing, especially when it comes to something like this, where it has like so many complex lighting and different colors involved. So you need that dark background. Even so, once you put it in there, like it'll help you see, like the overall painting and what's going on. So it's, I can't stress how important that is to have that in there when you're doing something with complex lighting like this. And finally, we're adding in that candle flame, and it's actually a lot more simple than you would think. So I added a little orange at the bottom of it, just to, because if you look at a real candle flame, like it has that little orange glow at the bottom of it. And then and then after that, I just added, I mixed a bit of yellow and just a little tiny bit of yellow and a lot of titanium white. And maybe a hint, just a touch of red, just to make it a little orange. And that's it. And that's really the color that I made for it. So it's very simple. But really what's going to bring out that candle flame and make it look more realistic is the background. So once I fill in that background area, that dark background, then it'll look more realistic. That's really the key. It's not about the flame, it's the dark background behind it that's going to make it look like a flame. And as you can see here, we're adding that in there, and I got a little smudge of that background on it by accident, but I cleaned that up pretty quickly. So now that we got that in there, all that's left really is just to continue the background and refine some areas. But other than that, then we're pretty much done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you guys got something out of it. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend doing this particular painting just because of how complex the lighting can be in this. You could just, take a photo of your own hand and just, in sunlight or whatnot and try it that way. Now, once you have that done and you feel more comfortable with painting something like that, then you can take a photo of your hand, next to a candle like this. And try painting that. And but it's all learning. You're not gonna develop these skills if you're not trying. For me, it's been a long time since I've painted a hand. I usually just do portraits. So I'm actually pretty happy with myself that I was able to accomplish this after so long. So it's a good way to test your skills for sure. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Press all the buttons if you can to help me out and push this video out to other people. And be sure to share it with your artist friends who are trying to learn as well.